Welcome everyone, my name is Mustafa, otherwise known as Chris, and this is my Crysis 3 multiplayer overview. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. As far as I know, it might be a 4-part series, it just really depends on how much I can fit in each episode. In part 1 I discussed my first impressions of this game, which were good first impressions, might I add, and I discussed my thoughts and opinions of the first couple of hours of playing this game. Now I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into the game modes and how they play if you're just generally just playing them, not like the rules or anything. I'm talking about how they feel to play. So let's get on to that. So team deathmatch and deathmatch. Now I'm going to discuss these both in one because they're quite similar to each other. It's just one has a team, the other one is all against all. Simple as that. If you played first person shooters before, you've probably come across team deathmatch and or deathmatch before. Unlike most games, because this has a nano suit, and this is pretty much what the whole game is about, is the nano suit, this makes it a whole lot different in terms of how it feels to play. Because some people are going around in cloaks, some people are using their armor, and generally just the fights are so weird because you can go around a corner, for example, you see someone cloaked, but you also see his friend is in armor. So you will probably put your armor on, and the cloaked guy might sneak around you while you're concentrating on the armor guy or something like that, and you just generally come across some really unique styles of ways to play the game. So they're quite interesting compared to most games you'll play. It's definitely a benefit of playing this game, and they're very good for just casual gaming. The other two game modes, which are both in the same playlist, which is Spears and Crash Site. These are both similar game modes, but they both play a little bit differently to each other. Spears, there are 3 objectives, which are spears, but they represent flags if you play Call of Duty and Domination, or Domination and Call of Duty, I mean. So, but they're just in the shape of spears. The same sort of thing. You just stand within a proximity of them, and you capture them over a period of time. And then when you've captured them, you start to gain points off of that. And at the end of the game, you win via how many points you have. And that's a very fun game mode. You have mini battles all over the map, or at least in my experience is how it plays out. Occasionally you get these really big battles just going on in a certain position, like on a spear or near a spear. Especially on the map Hell's Kitchen, at B, that's generally where the battle occurs, because that's quite a straight line map, so each team captures their first flag, spear even, runs forward to B, and then that's it. That's the battle for the whole match. You just end up at B, which is really entertaining. So Spears is a really good game mode, especially on Hell's Kitchen. So if you get to play Hell's Kitchen, do it. Crash Site, which you have a game mode of that playlist. It's very similar to Spears, only the in the way that you have to stand in the proximity of an objective and you gain points and you win that way. It's a bit more hectic than Spears because the battle occurs in that one space. Occasionally you'll find people, or at least this is my tactic, you'll find people just walking around in the outside of the Crash Site trying to pick off people trying to get in. That's my tactic, that's how I play the game, or I just sit on the Crash Site and try and defend it that way. But that game mode plays really fun. You end up in really hectic battles and it's quite interesting. So that is a very interesting game mode. If you want to relate it to anything, I'd relate it to Headquarters from Call of Duty. It plays quite similarly to that, obviously different in some ways though, because you've got the nano suits. That changes things in a lot of ways. You wouldn't expect it to, but it does. Extraction and Capture the Relay, that's another playlist. Now I haven't played this playlist admittedly as much as I've played Crash Site and Spears, but I have played it enough to know what it's like. So Extraction is essentially, there's these relays, there's 2 or 3 depending on the map you play, I think, and one team has to defend these relays from the other team, and the other team who are trying to get the relays, they not only have to get the relays, but they have to bring them back to a VTOL, which is a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, and which is basically just a hovering plane, but it looks futuristic because this is Crysis. And you have to bring the relays back, attach them to this rope, and it reels it in. And the more of those you capture, the better you'll do. And there's 2 rounds. One round you get the relays. The next round you've got to defend stop the other team from taking the relays. So that's a pretty good game mode and very enjoyable. Now the other game mode within that playlist, Capture the Relay, I prefer this one. It's basically Capture the Flag, only when you get the relay, you don't have the use of your primary weapon and you walk a bit slower. So it's really you're really reliant on your team to protect you during that journey from getting the relay and actually bringing the relay home, essentially, to your base. So that's an interesting game mode. It can be frustrating at times though. It just depends solely on who you're playing with, because if you've got a bad team, you're not really going to enjoy yourself. You might as well just sit on a roof somewhere and camp it out all match. I'm not telling you to camp. So that's that playlist, and then there's 2 game modes which are separate. They're not in the playlist, which is Assault. That's the first game mode I'm going to discuss, and then I'll get onto the final game mode, which is Hunter. Now, Assault, you have 2 teams. If you've got a full lobby, you're going to have 6 on each team. You've got Nanosuit Operatives versus Cell Operatives. Now, Nanosuit Operatives have the use of all of the abilities of the Nanosuit, but you're limited to a sidearm. And if you're a Cell Operative, you don't have the use of a Nanosuit, but you have the use of a primary. So you have a distinct advantage over the people with Nanosuit, and they have a distinct advantage over you. Just depends on how you play. And the idea is the people in Nanosuits have to capture these 5 points. They don't have to capture all of them as far as I know. You just have to capture a certain amount and gain points off of them. Now the Cell team obviously have to defend against this, and there's 5 rounds that game mode. That plays really fun, and is really fun is what I meant to say. But I haven't played it that much, generally because not that many people have been playing it. I mean, me and Project Dan, who I play with generally, we played the game yesterday, but there was only about 24 people playing that game mode, so I don't know how that plays on Xbox and PC, but on PS3 there's not that many people playing it. Sorry, I just mumbled that. And then the final game mode, Hunter, that is the newest game mode to Crysis. Essentially, as you've got 2 Nanosuit Operatives, and the rest of the lobby are Cell Operatives. And the Nanosuit people have to pick off all of the Cell people in order to win the game, and the people who are Cell have to stay alive as long as possible. And the more people the Nanosuit people kill, the more Nanosuit people there will be. So essentially you start off with 2 Nanosuit people, and by the end of the game you've got like 10 Nanosuit people. It's ridiculous. So you have to pick a good hiding spot. It's like a good version of hide and seek. It's the best way I can explain it, and it is quite entertaining when you just hide it in a corner and you see Nanosuit Operatives running past you and you just feel like such a smart ass. That is generally really, really fun. So I have enjoyed all of the game modes I've played so far. I admittedly played some game modes more than I've played others, generally because they're just more appealing to me. I really like objective-based game modes, so if you're more of a killer, I don't mean you're a murderer in real life, no offense to you if you are, not that I agree with it or anything, but if you like to kill people in this game, or in any game, then Team Deathmatch, Deathmatch, Hunter and Assault are probably your game modes. But if you want to play the objective, then Hunter and Assault still play into this, but you'll probably also enjoy Crash Site and Spears. If you like doing all of those things, then just play any game mode, you will enjoy yourself. So that's pretty much the end of the episode. You can now watch the highlights of this game. I'm not sure how good they were, I can't remember really. I mean, I played this yesterday, it was the best game I managed to get. I did have a better game in which I had more kills to deaths in terms of ratio, but I was testing out how well I can camp, because I wanted to see how well other people could camp if they wanted to. It's really easy to, so that's how this game plays. So like the episode if you liked, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one.